I hate to break it to you. I hate to be the one who does this, but someone has to be the bearer of bad news. The questions you're asking on your sales calls are killing your sales calls. I know you feel like you need to ask questions because you read that in a book somewhere. I know that you are trying to, in some way, shape, or form, move a process forward in a way that you want it to go rather than the way it may naturally end up. And in that process, you are manipulating your questions in an effort to manipulate your buyer. Maybe you haven't thought about it that way. Maybe you should start thinking about it that way. There is one tool in a salesperson's toolkit or toolbox, however, tool belt, if you want to use that analogy, that gets underutilized and doesn't get talked about enough, and that is curiosity. The reason it doesn't get talked about is because it's scary. You don't know where this is going to go. And that's a problem for you because you got a number to hit and you got people to satisfy and you've got people to make happy and you've got a manager breathing down your neck and you've got a mortgage payment due. I get it. You want some level of certainty, but here's where you have to let it go. The reason you have to let that certainty go is because when you are not so certain of where you need this thing to go, you open up the possibilities of where it could go. Now that's a leap of faith. It's a small one. And I'll tell you why it's a small one though. It's because if you are ultimately certain that you have solutions for the problems that your customers face, then you've reduced the amount of risk of where this situation could lead. It could go somewhere infinitely better if you are as well positioned as you believe you are. Leave the questions about certainty, leave the questions about a predetermined path for your amateur competitors. You are a professional salesperson. You are the kind of person that watches videos like this and from a bunch of my other colleagues about how to get better based on the wisdom that we have all acquired through the years, based on the mistakes that we've made and based on the lessons that we've learned throughout that process. I can tell you that the number one thing that has helped me in my prospecting, in my relationship building, in my rapport building, in my expertise building is by asking questions that a lot of the people in my space refuse to ask. Either because they're afraid to ask or they don't find them relevant. I always find the person on the other side of my conversation incredibly relevant. And that has helped me make an impact on them and get the rapport and also build the level of expertise necessary for them to trust me. When you ask predetermined questions out of a sales manual from 40 years ago that they've heard a million times by every single one of your competitors, you have not established yourself as anybody worth talking to at all. You are literally a dime a dozen at that point. But when you can think outside of the box, or just really be curious, or set that second or third or fourth question aside when they really dig into the first one, you are not even comprehending the place where that relationship or that sales process, let alone that sales process, can go. Remember that there's another person on the other side of the conversation. Remember that selling is a people business. Bring your curiosity with you. Set it out there first. Be open to what can happen. Don't be so afraid of what can happen. And ask better questions. Ask questions from that genuine place of curiosity. Ask questions from your heart, from your soul. Seek to understand what is really going on. The possibilities are endless, and you will create more opportunities than you can ever possibly close down. When you ask questions that no one else is willing to ask, you will be able to solve problems that no one else is able to solve. And when you can solve problems that no one else is able to solve, you can make sales that no one else can make, and you can charge what you're worth, not get caught up in the race to the bottom where you got to be a nickel less expensive than your competitor. Think about what you're doing and don't let your own pre-scripted, predetermined, manipulative questions kill your sales calls.